Yeah.
Do you believe that the Dallas Mavericks are trading Luka Doncic to move to Las Vegas?
I mean, I'm not sitting here saying that that's the sole reason. There's this conspiracy theory, floating around about how, a certain ownership group, wanted to make some money, and Luka going to LA is all about getting a franchise to Las Vegas, and we saw the tinfoil hat dudes come out and do this whole text thread, which we'll show you here in a minute. But I just this is what we do, right? Like we get a blockbuster trade in the league finally, and the first thing everyone wants to say is, "Oh well, Monty, they only traded him because they want a team in Las Vegas, and it's Bron and Luka, and they're all going to Vegas, and it's going to be incredible. They're going to hang out with UNLV, right? Like that's what we do." And so I don't buy into the whole conspiracy theory. I think that all this is Nico Harrison is out here taking huge risks, and he's either going to be a hero or he's going to get taken through the gutter. And he's going to be
a hero or a zero. And I think when I look at this situation, and we're going to talk about Myles Garrett in about 20 minutes. Myles Garrett is very different than Luka Doncic. And a lot of people yesterday were trying to make that comparison. It's a completely different thing. It's not Myles Garrett and Luka Doncic. Think about it. Think about the best quarterback who's never won a Super Bowl. This would be Dan Marino being traded in his prime in the middle of the night. This would be this is Joe Burrow. Think about your great young quarterback. This is Justin Herbert.
Caleb Williams.
No, not yet. This is Justin Herbert. You need an established quarterback who's young and at the top of their game, having a not a great season. Joe Burrow with, coming back, or again, Justin Herbert might be the best example. It would be stunning if the San Diego, we got run out of Wales Vagina, so we play in somebody else's stadium, Chargers, now in Los Angeles, if they traded Justin Herbert and you traded him for, pick your guy, Andy Dalton.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like that's what you would be doing here. And I look at Luka Doncic, I understand it. Again, we made the argument yesterday. He's 270 pounds. He's out of shape. He's often injured. He's missed 100 games, and he's due $350 million. Now,
a lot of people yesterday said, well, what do you mean he's out of shape if he played, the most minutes, out of anybody last year, and, he had this great year, and all I have to say is that might be fine. Statistically speaking, he may play a lot of minutes. The problem is he doesn't play the meaningful minutes his team needs him to play when it matters most. And that's the thing is like, you guys all remember the playoff situation where he got tired. You remember all the times that he wasn't working hard on defense. Like it's not just about total minutes played. And, Luka's dad can come out and defend him and, do this whole thing, but ultimately
Luka didn't deserve this.
Yeah, ultimately, Luka may not have deserved to be traded in this fashion, but he was never going to be a lifelong Dallas Maverick. And I think the assertion, like people trying to say that, oh, this is a guy that was going to be a one jersey guy, and like he was never going to play for someone else. Like, come on, dude. Like, let's not be in fantasy land.
What we need to see now is what's the next trade the Dallas Mavericks make? Because my guess is with Anthony Davis, you're going to have to trade PJ or you're going to have to trade Gafford, right? Because if you're the Dallas Mavericks, you should have learned that Anthony Davis isn't a body-banging center anymore. He is, and nor maybe has he ever been. He is a 4-5 hybrid who is very comfortable being your biggest body on the floor. Can you play Daniel Gafford and Anthony Davis together? Sure you can. But you have Lively, who needs the minutes. That's your best young player. So I think I would be shocked if the Lakers and Mavericks made another trade for Gafford. I would not be shocked. I would not be shocked if Gafford was the guy that they traded because he's got real value.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see what they do. But this idea that the Dallas Mavericks only made the Luka trade because the ownership group wants to move this team to Las Vegas is absurd. the Dallas metropolitan area supports the Dallas Mavericks as well as any NBA team in the league is supported. Mavs fans are strong. They turn out, they buy gear, they buy beer, they buy pickup trucks, they've got manure on their boots, and they still come to games. They support the Dallas Mavericks. Do the Mavericks need a new building? No. Do they need a casino? No. And that's what the Adelson family is after. They want to build a casino that includes the Dallas Mavericks in a new arena. And so far, nobody has said yes to them. They have repeatedly been turned down or declined at every turn. And that family, by the way, is in Las Vegas, has land in Las Vegas, owns casinos,
right?
The whole 9 yards. But the bottom line is that's not why this trade was made. And we can draw conclusions. And America's favorite racist, stalker of Joy Taylor comes out yesterday and is like, oh, well, they're moving to Vegas. Okay, Jason Whitlock, what was the genesis of, hey, they're moving to Vegas and here's my evidence? Oh, wait, you mean it was a tweet string from somebody nobody's ever heard of? And it talks about how the ownership of the Mavericks wants to, move the team so they, quote, give away a generational talent inexplicably. It's not inexplicably. You don't have to agree with it.
Yeah, we need to get on
the
same page.
But it's not inexplicably.
Here. Yeah, let's not sit here and be like, oh, well, Luka is the best player in the NBA and just won us a championship and, did everything any NBA player would want to do, and they traded him in the middle of the night, under the cover of darkness. Like, let's not that's my biggest problem with the whole Luka conversation right now is everyone's making it out like Luka's the best player in the league and he's, there's nothing wrong with him and he's putting out and he should have got that $345 million, Supermax extension. And that's not the case, man. There are clear flaws in the situation for him.
Premise number one, the Mavs trading Luka, a 25-year-old, one of the top 3 players in the world. No, he's not. To the Lakers in return for a broken down 32-year-old Anthony Street Close Davis. He's 31.
So first of all, you're a Mavericks fan.
Clearly
a Mavericks fan.
And a Luka fan. He's not one of the 3 best players in the world. Not in his current, he's 270 pounds. I don't know. I think this is absurd. I think it's ridiculous. I don't think it adds up at all. In the comment section, do you buy into this conspiracy theory right here that the Adelson family wants to move the Mavericks to Las Vegas? And they have no real interest in owning a basketball team. The Mavs are a means to an end, which is, there's no evidence of that.
Right.
None. I don't buy into this. I think that the moment that LeBron James retires, I think the NBA is going to gift him a charter for Las Vegas, and he will be the owner of an expansion franchise there. I don't believe for a second that the Dallas Mavericks are even on path or on target to move to Las Vegas.
Yeah, and I just think I'm still trying to understand why we as fans or people, observers, people who cover the NBA, why do we always have to go to the craziest thing that gets thrown up against the wall? Why do we always have to sit here and be like, well, why how could they ever trade Luka Doncic? How could like my God, what a travesty. That's been the reaction. And I understand this angle of, hey, like, if Luka can get traded, that means I can get traded. If you're a player in the NBA, I understand that. I get it. But ultimately, this is very clear. Nico Harrison, the GM of the Mavs, made a decision here, which was, hey, we saw what Luka could do, right? We know how far Luka can take us.
Yep.
But that's not championship good enough.
Nope.
So we're going to do, and I give Nico a lot of credit for this, and I feel like more people need to pay him his respect. He did the uncomfortable thing. He did the thing that was, what nobody else would do, which is trade away the asset in his prime. And we talk about this all the time. How many times in sports do organizations not trade the guy away, try to extend him, and he leaves anyway and they get nothing? Right? Bryce Harper, like we've seen this a million times. So I give them a lot of credit for moving Luka.
Gordon Hayward.
Yeah, Gordon Hayward. Like, the difference there though was that Gordon Hayward was never the player Luka is, right? He was never like best player in the league guy. He was always
franchise player though.
Well, for the Jazz, he
was a franchise player, right? I mean, listen, the truth is Maverick fans don't want to, and especially Luka Maverick fans, don't want to embrace what Luka Doncic is. A generational talent who's unprofessional. He's out of shape. And he was fat and happy in Dallas. The idea that the Mavericks would be allowed to leave Dallas is absurd. Now, it's average attendance. I was looking at the numbers this morning. They lead the NBA in attendance.
Right.
The Jazz are 14th in the NBA in attendance. Nobody goes to Jazz games. These are numbers of tickets sold. The Jazz are a very good example of this. Buy Utah Hockey Club tickets. We'll give you a discount on Jazz tickets. But the bottom line is nobody on a game-to-game basis sells more tickets than the Dallas Mavericks. The community supports this team. They, by all account, ownership has supported the team, as we saw. They went out and made multiple trades last year to bolster their roster that ultimately went to the finals, and Luka bitching at the officials. And again, I'll go back to our days of Rudy Gobert. Why did Rudy Gobert, what was ultimately the reason, the final icebreaker on why Rudy got traded? Because everybody and their brother went to Rudy Gobert and said, you've got to stop bitching at the officials. It's hurting the team. And he wouldn't stop. And it caused strife in the locker room. Everybody in Dallas has told Luka, stop bitching at the officials. You are damaging the team. And on top of that, he wouldn't work out. On top of that, he was overweight. On top of that, he is standing in public hallways drinking beers after games. And Mavericks officials are taking beer cans literally out of his hand.
Yeah.
He's a 25-year-old generational talent who doesn't appreciate his generational talent. And they didn't want to pay him $350 million. That's the reality of it. There's no casino. There's no... The NBA, do you really think, ask yourself this question, if the Sacramento Kings were not allowed to leave Sacramento, do you really think that the NBA is going to let the Dallas Mavericks leave Dallas? When they have a building, they have an incredible fan base that supports that club, you have no grounds for that. So, no, they didn't trade him so they could move the team to Dallas.
Yeah.
They did not.
Yeah, and I just think that always going down the conspiracy route, always trying to make it something it's not, is just kind of tired. And we're going to talk about the Chiefs and the officials and Roger Goodell today, and we're going to talk about the Myles Garrett situation and these other things that are happening in sports right now. And I just look at it and I say, bro, this should be like a learning lesson for everyone else in the league that's comfortable. Like, hey, if you're not in shape and doing the things you need to do and you're not delivering that value, then you become tradable in that way. And everyone's going to say, well, you guys are crazy. Luka's the only reason they went to the finals.
I love the fan that's like Luka carried him single-handedly.
Like, come on,
no, he
dude.
did not.
He did not carry them single-handedly. He didn't carry him when he sat out the last game of the season when they were still able to get in. He didn't carry him when he was bitching at the officials and not playing defense. Like, y'all have selective memory. That's the problem. You don't want to say, hey, yeah, this guy's the best. Honestly, when he's hot, he's probably the best scorer in the league. When he's hot, when the three's going in, when he's manhandling dudes, like he is one of the most lethal scoring threats in the league by everyone's estimation. The problem is that he's not a complete player, and that shouldn't be some hot take. The numbers bear that out. He is a defensive liability.
An absolute defensive liability.
So again, when you look at his numbers, the scoring's great. Hey, give me 50 and 10. That's awesome, dude. But if you're a minus 25 on the defensive end, your 50 points really became 25 points. Like,
and do you understand why did, and I know that everybody's going to, poo-poo this, but as a Mavericks fan, why did you win game 4? Why did you win game 4? Where was that game played? American Airlines Arena. And when you look at that game, did the Celtics do their level best to win that game? We talked about this on the show.
right.
They essentially said, we want to win it at home. And so if you look at the difference between game 4 and game 5, and you start saying to yourself, okay, what's the biggest difference? Well, the biggest difference is you got your ass kicked in game 5 in Boston. And Luka was a minus 19 in game 5.
Playing a team that's elite defensively.
Minus 19 in game 5.
So wait, he's carrying you. He's carrying you 50 points, 40 points. He's carrying you. He's the best player on your team. And you only put up 88 points? Like, what?
And in the penultimate game, he was 2 of 9 from 3. Look, we can sit here and we can go back and forth. Luka is not a guy. And you all, I don't even know, like, do we have a Maverick fan on the show today? Because
I'm sure.
Usually y'all disappear when it's time to talk about the Mavericks, or talk about Luka, because that's what you did last year when we told you there was no chance. Well, they won a game. Let's see. Oh, BT Raider. AD will be 32 in 3 months, but he's not 32 now, is he? Is he 32 now? He's not 32. He is not. Y'all are insane. Luka carried the Mavs to the finals. Also, he's the only reason they even won one game. So, okay, well, let's do your math. Let's look at game 4. Game 4, when you're down 3-0, series is over, right?
But he's carrying the Mavericks to a 3-0 deficit. Just want to throw that in there.
He is a plus 30, scores 29 points, and 0 of 8 from 3. Because remember, he was historically bad from 3 in the finals last year. Historically bad. And that's 5 of 7 from the line because he's not getting fouled anymore, which a lot of people don't want to talk about. 5 of 7 from the line. Played 32 minutes. Is that impressive in a series that's over in a game 4? When let's look at the minutes that, I don't know, Jason Tatum they're trying to clinch an NBA championship. He played 27 minutes. He played 27 minutes in that game.
That's it?
Jason Tatum. Jaylen Brown played 27 minutes. Peyton Pritchard played 22 minutes. Wait, a guard off the bench in a championship game where you're doing your level best? Well, that's right. They weren't doing their level best. So this idea that he's the only reason they won a game, stop. Like it's... Astral Magnus. Yes, Mavs leaving is ludicrous. Vegas expansion team.
Yeah.
Exactly right. Phil Venzer, our noted local Vegas guy. Another pro sports team to Vegas. We can't even get out of college sports teams to a power league. But this has always been the conversation about Las Vegas, right? Las Vegas is a pro sports town because it's a gambling town and a betting town.
Yeah.
It's why the Golden Knights have absolutely exploded there. It's why the Raiders were so able to get not just a stadium built, but a state-of-the-art practice facility built. It's a pro sports town.
Yeah.
And when you look at where UNLV fits into Las Vegas, will UNLV be more of a story than the A's when the A's, if they ever get the money and build the stadium actually on the Strip,
right,
which I think is going to be a disaster. But can you imagine the Rebs football team or Running Rebels being more of a story than the Las Vegas Athletics? Because I can't. I think when the Raiders are good, that'll be a Raider town. It'll be a an LVGK town second. I think the A's are going to win. They're going to spend gobs of money, as they already have. I think they're going to be a World Series contender. I don't see that's a pro sports town.
Yeah.
Sam Lott, hello. Good to see you, my friend. And yet he still was the highest scorer in the league.
But who cares?
But what does that matter?
Yeah.
Well, it was first the Mavericks fans' cycle of death. Well, we don't have any talent around him, Marty. Okay, well, you got Kyrie, and Kyrie re-signed there. Then you get Gafford, PJ Washington, like
some guy named Klay Thompson.
Are you telling me they haven't put talent around him? They have. Are you telling me they haven't spent money? They overpaid for Klay Thompson. They have. So now this, and he still led the league at highest score in the league. What good was it when even as a Mavericks fan, you simply have to admit the guy walks up the floor. He is by rating the second slowest player in the NBA. Come on. They didn't trade him to move to Las Vegas. Stop. They would never move Dallas from the NBA. Las Vegas will get an expansion team. Totally agree with that. Don't attack Luka as if you've never had a rough patch. Well, I'm also not asking somebody to give me $350 million to play in the NBA.
There are levels to this conversation. If you want to be the highest paid player in the NBA, you damn well better play defense. But,
and you better be in peak physical condition. If you're asking me for $350 million, like, does that not resonate with anybody? He was going to get $350 million.
So by this comment here, are you, and I'm asking you, Xavier Wolf, are you insinuating that they should have let it ride with Luka, assuming that he would get in shape? Is that what you're saying? You're calling it a rough patch.
Yeah. Travis, he was drinking that beer after winning the Western Conference Finals in a public corridor, which you're not supposed to do. You want to drink that beer in the locker room? Do you guys understand? He has his own room off the locker room at American Airlines Arena. You want to go and do whatever in that room, do it. But you're standing in a public corridor and your guy MJ was drinking and smoking cigars after regular season games.
Wow, you are really silly.
So we're going back 2 generations to justify
and what's
him.
The difference? Michael Jordan's undefeated in the NBA Finals.
And,
Stop.
And the greatest player who's ever lived. You can't possibly believe that Luka and Michael Jordan are on the same level. This is the ridiculousness we go through.
Yeah.
Roger Goodell claimed parity was the reason KC was so good. Oh, we're going to get into that. And donuts. I remember Vlade Divac's burning heaters before games, the good old days. Right, but you could do that in the late 80s. It was a different time. I love the Mavs, and I'm glad AD is on the team. Okay. Please go ahead and hit the like button after you go and suck up one of the 20 memberships.
Nice.
Calford gives us 20 memberships. Appreciate you, Calford. Thank you very much. Eric and Raleigh. Calford with the Luka type money gifting all these ships.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Right.
That's had his own room. Exactly right.
Excellent asterisk there.
Yes. JC, but how much revenue does Luka generate for his teams? Well, it's an interesting question. The guy sells jerseys like they're free. He certainly is an international brand. There's no doubt about that. And you got to remember that Luka's been a basketball player since the sperm hit the egg. The guy has been an unbelievable basketball player for his entire life.
Yeah.
So his 25, and I agree with Mavericks fans, his 25 years old is a little older than most people's 25 years old. It doesn't excuse you being 270 pounds. Do no Mavericks fans care that he is that out of shape or that he plays that slowly? I can't even fathom it. Isaiah Thomas would disagree about MJ. Well, but the difference is you never question Michael Jordan's professionalism.
Yeah.
You never question, having covered that guy, there was never a doubt. And I can tell you the same thing about Kobe. I told the story the other day.
Bron.
When you walked in the Staples Center before it was crypto, when you walked in the Staples Center, Kobe was already there working out. Already there working out. I cannot tell you how many times it's a different Shaq, great example. I cannot tell you how many times Shaquille O'Neal would be the last guy at the practice facility because he was lifting weights. The last guy at the practice facility getting treatment. Like the guys that are elite, the best evers, they're always there first and they're always there last. And they're not standing in corridors drinking beers, dude. They're not. And what you do, there's a lack of professionalism. He's 270 pounds.
Yeah.
That's wild. That is absolutely unthinkable. Welcome to the nightmare. If you're wanting more than a third of $1 billion, you better be great on both sides of the ball and not nearly 300 pounds and not in shape.
Yeah. Like, this is not rocket science.
He is a horrendous defender.
Yeah.
I mean, just
and half
awful.
of that is just his mentals. He's got a terrible attitude about it.
Astro Magnus, guys, you used to drink at halftime in the 70s and do cocaine.
Yeah.
Totally
is a hell of a drug.
then. And way less cameras, no social media. Yes, Travis. MJ can do no wrong. Got it. No, it's not that he can do no wrong. You get a lot more leeway when you're a top producer. And when you win 6 championships and you never lose in the finals, and you're the best player in the league for a generation, yeah, you can do no wrong.
Stop being a victim, dude. Like,
Luka, don't drink that beer in your hallway. Who cares? It's a hallway, bro. Was chilling with a beer. This tells me you don't get it.
Yeah, you just don't understand.
You don't
dude.
get it. You don't get it. You don't understand what it takes to be a professional at the level he'll tell you he's at, and you think he's at, that he's not close to.